That happened to me too. I had a boyfriend, but I was like a senior in high school at this point. But we would do it like, cause my dad used to sleep in the basement and I used to sleep upstairs. So I used to sneak him in like once a week. But then we got real comfortable because we noticed that my dad wouldn't wake up. So we were like, fuck it, every night he's coming over. We're literally having sex the entire night. My dad's downstairs or whatever. So this one time, my dad had took my sister to the doctor. And so I was like, we're gonna have the house to ourselves the whole night, like the whole day, no one's gonna be here or whatever. Out of nowhere, my dad's girlfriend comes to the house. And it's like 10 a.m. We're knocked out in the bed. We're both butt ass naked. And I just hear her come in, but my door was locked. And like in my room, I had a filing cabinet with like my sister's birth certificates and like all our important shit. And my dad needed like her birth certificate or something. So my stepmom came to get it. So she's knocking on my door and we're both like, oh my God, like who the fuck is here? And at this point, he's butt naked. It's like, we don't know what the fuck to do. So he hides in my closet. But my dumb ass forgot that he had a big ass foot. He had some big ass Air Force Ones and like his clothes was right there by the door. And I opened the door and my stepmom, she's like, I need to get something from the filing cabinet. The filing cabinet is in the closet where my boyfriend is butt ass naked because he was fucking. And so I'm like, I'll get it. And I'm like walking awkward as fuck. And she's just staring at the shoes because she knows they're not mine. So I'm like pretending he's not in the closet. He's like quiet as hell. Like it was a fucking mess. And she's like, she doesn't even walk. And I feel like she knew like, okay, so obviously somebody's in here. And she was like, your dad will be here in an hour, so just make sure you're together by that time. And she just walked out.
Right. She's like, bitch, I see you. So
I was so scared. I'm like, my dad is going to literally kill me. Like, it's over. I'm going to die.
She saved your life. That's a good...
She did. But she was staring at his shoes, like his big ass shoe. And she was like, what the hell?
See, and this is what I'm saying, like, when you think about talking to, like, kids and teenagers about anything sex and sexuality related, this is the shit that they're in as right we speak. Like, they're tucking thumbs in their pockets and shit.
Now, you better not be doing that shit because you're going to get COVID. Fuck that.
Well, yeah.
Right, you're going to get COVID now.
Watch out for that COVID.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. I feel like I'm just like, there's so many just like weird, I don't know, teenage years are just a weird time.
We were wild as hell. We did not care. Like, it was a really wild ass time.
It was.
A lot of reckless ass shit that I'm like, I wouldn't do that now. And I do a lot of shit now. But half the shit that I did when I was a teenager, I wouldn't do that shit now.
Fuck yeah. And I think another really important thing that we're all over 26 here, right? Okay. I think another thing that I didn't really realize until the other day when my best friend just said it to me clearly is that our brains weren't fully developed at that time either. Like, literally talking about anatomically, like literally our brain development was not at a place until just recently where we could like fully formulate beginning, middle, and end. Here's a consequence of that beginning, middle, and end decision. Like, we are literally just at like 26, 27 able to like conceptualize that kind of a whole thing. And I only thought of that because I was talking to my best friend about moving out of Miami, and I was like, I'm just not sure where I want to go, and da-da-da. And I was like, when I moved to Miami, I literally just packed my car and came here. And he was like, and how old were you? And I was like, 24. And he was like, how old are you now? And I was like, 29. And he's like, yeah, your brain is fully developed. So you're not going to do some impulsive ass shit. And I was like, right, exactly. So there's also like this whole piece that when you talk to like kids and teens that in part, they're not even able to fucking grasp what we're saying sometimes because literally like brain development wise, they're just not there yet. And that's not to take any autonomy away from them or anything. It's just like a real reality. And especially when you look back at your experiences and your impulsive, horrible, what was I doing, reckless ass shit. It's like, yeah, it makes sense why I was fucking, for me, driving my mom's car when I was 13 and stealing that bitch. Like I knew what the fuck I was doing. I did it, but I had no concept of fucking consequences.
It's like different stages from when you're a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like with my, if I do like this, he like I fucking disappeared and shit.
Exactly.
And it's like when you're 12, when you're 13, maybe you remember what it was like to be 6. You probably don't remember 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know what I'm saying? So your whole concept of what time means is completely different. You know, as you get older, and then you're like, oh shit, I didn't complete school, and now I'm dealing with the consequences or whatever. Like you'll understand it then. But when you're going through it in your teenage years, like there is no consequences. Because also the other people you're around, your peers, aren't really dealing with too many consequences either.
Right.
There's certain, like, I mean, obviously, I feel like this is even more so in the Black and brown community. We're forced to grow up faster because there are certain shit, like, certain things is consequential around the way, right? But still, even then, you still are gonna toe as many lines as you possibly can, because you like, well, I mean, that happened to him, that ain't gonna happen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how we look at that shit. So, it's hard sometimes to do so, but putting yourself in their shoes and remembering how chaotic that time was for you, whether it was fun or whatever, like it was still chaotic because you're trying to make sense of all this shit. This is a crazy ass world. And now there's so many other things that we have to look out for with kids nowadays because there's so much more access to everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, the internet is a wide open place and kids got a lot of access to it, which also means that people who are trying to take advantage of kids got access to that shit as well. So that's another reason why we have to be on it as much as we can as parents or older siblings or godparents or aunts and uncles,
Yeah. When was everybody's first time like being introduced to porn of some sort?
I was young. I had to be like 8 or 9. And
Context.
my dad had well, there was 2 times that I remember like very vividly. I was like 8 years old, I think. Yeah, I was like 8. And I don't know why I would just go through my parents' shit. Like, I'd just be bored and I'd just go in their room and like go through their drawers and shit like that. And my mom used to always be like, stop doing that, like stop going through my stuff. But like that one day, I was bored as hell and I went to their room and I went in their closet because I usually go through their drawers, but I had never went in their closet. And I took out this blue bag and I opened it up. And there was like little weird like lingerie. It was my mom's lingerie, obviously. And then it was like an actual porn video. And like when I had turned it around, it was like very, it was like pussy, asshole, everything was out. And I looked at it and I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, what the hell is this? And I remember I just put it away and I was just like, so like, I told my little sister, I'm like, oh my God, you won't believe what I found in the closet. And so like, I showed it to her because I was like, what the fuck is this? And we're both trying to figure out what it is. And my mom, like, she was open about sex, but she would never, like, if I asked her, she would tell me, but she would never, like, she never sat me down and was like, this is what this is or whatever. So me and her were on our way to church, and I was acting very weird because I found her fucking lingerie and her porn or whatever, or her and my dad's porn, and she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I found this really weird video in this blue bag in your closet. And she was, now that I think about it, like, she was messed up because she tried to make it seem like it was my dad's, like it wasn't hers. Because she was like, she turned the car around and we went back to the house, and she like opened the door and my dad was cooking, and she's like, go throw that video away because then I found it. And he was like, he just looked at her and she's looking at him, and they're like, he's like, okay. And then like they walked off. My mom walked off when we went to church. And then like a couple, like I want to say I was like 9 or 10. I was cleaning the bathroom, and we had like this little drawer in the bathroom, and we had like toilet paper and stuff like that. And I was putting toilet paper in there, and I saw a little booklet, and I grabbed the booklet, and it's porn again, like a book. And it's obviously like my dad's or whatever, but I never told him that I found it. But I was like, it was just pouring everywhere in my house. And they never like talked to us about it.
Was it a DVD or a VHS?
It was a DVD.
And it was like a cover and everything, and that's when I had like all the pussy ass on it.
It was Spanish too. I don't even know what it was called. And I just remember it was like this man, and then it was like a lady, and she had a really bad wig. That's all I remember. Her wig was really bad, but she had some big ass titties though. That's all I remember.
Thousands and shit.
Yeah, shit was like fucking like this. Oh, like in a bed, and like her pussy. They were in the bed in one picture, and the other picture her pussy was out. He was like fingering her, and I was like, what the fuck, like. And my mom was like, I don't know what that is, but the whole time, y'all were watching that shit, because why is, now, of course, now I know, but she tried to make it seem like this is my dad's, and my dad was all embarrassed. He's like, why are you calling me out? Like, this is both our shit. Like, what the hell?
Night shit right there.
Oh, good.
I literally can't even.
I caught them having sex, though, too.
Oh, I've done that. I've had that, too.
That shit was very weird.
Yeah. I can't remember how I don't know. I can't remember. I feel like it was the thing that just sticks out in my head the most that was like very influential in my sexual life was Real Sex, HBO Real Sex. And like, the thing that I remember the most is there was the latex episode. And like, it was all about the latex fetish and how, people were having like balloon parties and like getting off on it. And I just remember the ladies' nipples were so hard. Like all the women, their nipples were so hard, and my nipples just never got hard like that. So like, I don't know if that just like intrigued me more on it, but like, that's just what I remember.
That is so fucking. I feel like the part about the nipples resonates so deeply, because I feel like when I was younger, every time I saw women's nipples, they were so long and protruding, and like to this day, my nipples don't do that. Like, I don't know if like titties were different in the 90s or in 80s or something, but like I don't have those titties, so I was always like, damn, them nipples that's crazy.
Yeah, the little mini marshmallows.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Oh fuck! Oh my God.
Shit, that Real Sex shit was classic.
Yes.
Yo, when I saw that Punani Poets episode, I was like, I want to do that. My life, you know what I mean? And it's crazy because I actually got to rock with them a couple times.
Wow.
Jessica Holt and the Punani Poets, because I was just like, yo, y'all, when I met them, I was like, yo, I watched y'all on Real Sex. Y'all influenced.
Oh,
like,
that's influential. Like, that's dope.
Oh my God. I definitely feel like my first introduction to porn was definitely both Real Sex, and I'm even going to include the BET Uncut, because that was like even though now, of course, as an adult, if I would watch it, I'd just be like, it's freaky, it's provocative, but it's not like porn. But like as a young child, you're like, damn, they swiping motherfucking credit cards and butt cracks, and I'm seeing like pussy from the back bent over. They had on, bathing suits, but like that view of an ass was like not one that I had really seen that often. And like, definitely I have memories of like sneaking into the basement of the house that lived in middle school and watching Uncut, the BET Uncut, and being like, oh, what is this? And then the Real Sex was like, I had an older friend. I was probably in like 5th grade, and she may have been in 6th or 7th. And we had a sleepover, and she was like, do you have HBO? And I was like, yeah. And she put it on, and she was like, have you ever seen this before? And I was like, no. And I don't even remember what episode it was, but that was definitely the first time. And then also separately, she like wanted to teach me how to masturbate, and that is like a whole other fucking thing. But it turned out
that's another thing. Okay, like when I was in middle school, why was I just doing random freaky shit with my friends? But it was never like anything weird. It was just like, no, like, I'm gonna play with your coochie. Just like, it was just like, we would just randomly do that shit with each other. Like, I have like my first like real sexual experiences with my friends. Like, we would make out with each other. We would literally masturbate each other, and it would not be weird. We're just like, okay, anyways, we're gonna go play Barbies now. Barbies have sex all the fucking time. Our Barbies
white, these girls.
Say it again.
Were they black or white, these other girls?
Mines were Latina and black.
I think that no, they were white and black. They were both.
I feel like all the girls I grew up around for the most part were black girls for the most part. And I didn't have that experience with my friends. Except for when I was really, really young, like first grade, second grade, that's when I was kissing the other little girls or whatever the case is. But like when I got older, I never had those experiences with my friends at all. Never.
We always do that with each other, and
yeah,
we never thought it was weird. We were
definitely.
Like, anyways.
Yeah, same.
Like after we just got done doing shit, like it was so weird now that I think about it.
I feel like we have talked about that before, Lex, because on previous podcasts I've talked about all of my weird ass early childhood shenanigans, and yeah, I remember you saying like, "Bitch, that was just you." Like,
but I think a big part of like in how I grew up too is that my mom was a police officer, so she was very skeptical about where I went all the time, and I wasn't allowed to be at people's houses without her being there or without her knowing that a parent was there. Like I was not allowed to do that shit at all, and my parents put me in so many like extracurricular activities that I literally didn't really have time to do.
You playing with pussies?
Yeah, like I literally didn't have time to do that. I mean, granted, once I got older and like boys were involved, like boys with cars or, like it was easy to be involved in extracurricular activities and go do whole shit. But I didn't, not with my homegirls. No, never.
Yeah. I feel like that, yeah, definitely almost all of my like initial sexual experiences were with girls. Kissing, vagina stuff, eating pussy, all of it was with girls. And it definitely was mostly like just something you would do with an intimate friend. Like it wasn't on some like, we're dating, we like each other, we're
like my best friends. And
which is wild also because like now that I think about it, a lot of us did turn out to be fucking queer in some way. So maybe we were just fucking gay as fuck. And that maybe was part of it. But like, yeah, we definitely did all types of fucking shit. And it was just like you said, V, it was just like an average sleepover activity.
With my friends, we would do it in front of each other. Like it'd be two girls like, okay, well, you guys do that. Let's see what it looks like. And we would like, I don't know why we would do that. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I feel like I only recently stopped fucking my friends. Like me fucking and experimenting with my friends was like a thing I did literally all up until I graduated from college, undergrad. Once I left there, it like wasn't a normal thing anymore. So I did it, like it just fizzled out on its own. But like literally all throughout my like childhood up until literally I was like, what, 24 or 23, fucking all my friends. Like that was just like a natural part of like our friendships is like we're fucking each other or we're experimenting or we're doing weird shit and it's not weird. I don't know. King, when were you first introduced to porn?
Oh, shit. I have weird experience as my first introduction to porn. So I didn't grow up with my father, and when my father, got sober and shit like that, I had to like go like once a month to his crib, like court order type shit. And this dude had literally the most strangest bachelor pad in human history. Like when I got there, like he had just naked women pictures like all over the place. Like as if he took them shits out of porno magazines, but he framed them. Weird, yo. Like, it was odd. It was like, just, you know, I wasn't around that. And the thing is, like, my mother's actually a health activist, you know what I'm saying? So she worked with like most of the, from when I was younger, most of like the school nurses in New Jersey were trained by my mother to actually teach sex ed in schools. So and like she did a lot of community outreach around like AIDS and things like that. So I wasn't not accustomed to hearing about sex, but I hadn't seen this shit, you know what I'm saying? So like he just had pictures everywhere. And then so my father's white, my mother's black. My father, he would dip off and just kind of like just leave me in his crib. So like, you know, same as you, like I would like, what the fuck you got in here? I don't know who you are. You know what I'm saying? I want to know something about you. So I'm like looking through his shit and I find like this drawer just full of like hardcore shit, like tapes, magazines, and I'm like going through his shit. And one of the magazines I came across was basically a group of white men in dressed up as the Ku Klux Klan. To me, it's rape. I don't give a fuck. Like that should look like rape to me. I don't ever think of the Ku Klux Klan and a black woman having a consensual situation. Right. So it was the magazine, you know, and for me, like it fucked me up because like, you know, my mother wear her hair natural, the woman had like an afro and shit. And I was just like, this motherfucker's sick. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my first real experience seeing anything, right? Like, and that shit just led to so many questions. Like, is this how you fucking see yourself? Is this how you see my mother? And we talk about that a lot when it comes to porn and parenting, because when you think of porn, you know, obviously, you know, we're in the industry in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So we all, it's normalized to us, right? But as a kid, whatever it was you saw, like let's just say you see something that's a BDSM scene and it's super extreme and you see somebody tied up getting like fisted in the ass or something, right? You don't have at that age the understanding of what consent is yet. You don't at that age have the understanding that this person has a safety word or that this person is being paid to be there. They want to be there, they enjoy this or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You don't have any of that shit. So, you know, for me, I was just like, this shit is fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And then like subsequently afterwards, and it's funny that y'all mentioned like experiences with your friends. I remember going to one of my boys' houses when I was, I don't know, maybe like 10 years old. And he just threw a fuck, like the shit with at my father's house, I was probably like 8 or 9. So I'm like at my boy's crib, we like 10 years old, and he just puts a porn into the VCR. Like we were about to watch fucking Ninja Turtles or something. He just threw this porn and it was just like, you watch this shit? I was like, actually, nah, like, nah. And he was just like, this shit is what's up right here, you know what I'm saying? And then like just starts jerking off. And I was like, you know, at that time for me, like, you know, I had been masturbating or whatever, but I hadn't like been just jerking off in groups and shit. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the weirdest situation. And like, I was like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I jerked off, watched the fucking shit. I hadn't watched no before. After that shit was over, it was just like, there wasn't even no like acknowledgement of
right.
You know what I'm saying? And he was just like this tape over. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
play video games. Like, you want to play Madden?
You want to go outside play some football? Like, what are you trying to do?
It was, and it's funny, but it's like when I do talk to other men, people have had these experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
When cats get older, they start to have this shame. Like, even if you didn't touch the other guy, and if y'all did, so the fuck what? That's y'all business, however y'all feel about it, right? But all the other shame that comes along with it, like there is a certain aspect in regards to women where y'all talk about it, it's whatever. Mm-hmm. But guys talk about it, then people might start to say, what y'all doing? Right. And automatically this shame, like it's funny, like the older I get and I think about just all the aspects of what, and this kind of goes back to our earlier conversation, all the aspects of what manhood is considered, right? And how you're supposed to get to manhood, you know. And since I'm just being all open and disclosing with y'all, you know what I'm saying? My babysitter, when I was around the same age, she molested me, right? And I tried to tell people, and they were like, yo, that's what's up. Instead of, she knows she needs to go to fucking jail.
Right, right.
And because of that, this happens to a lot of people. And, you know, the saying, hurt people hurt people. People who are taken advantage of learn that behavior from being taken advantage of, you know, to take advantage of others. And so many men are unable to have any of the conversations around what either was their first experience sexually, what even turns them on sexually, what their first memories of pleasure were, whether and hopefully like consensual pleasure should they wanted to experience. You know, we don't have these conversations. So you keep it all inside, you keep it all inside, you keep it all inside. Somebody says something that questions what you consider your very fragile manhood to be.
Right.
They lash out.
Right.
And men are told that when you're angry, the way you're supposed to lash out is violently, or the way you're supposed to lash out is by exerting physical force in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Somebody tells you no, then you know that don't, you know, all these other horrible things that has become learned behavior by men comes from all of these places of shame and fear around them being actually who they are, who we are, who I am, you know what I'm saying? And we don't and are not willing to have these conversations. And chances are they've had similar experiences to the women in their lives, whether it's negative aspects or the positive aspects of sex. But because we're told that we're men and we keep it all inside, or these particular things don't happen, like being gay is not an insult. Being open sexually is not an insult. Being straight is not an insult, but there are very different, like there's no one set way to be any of these things, you know, and all of these names and labels that we then try to fight for, you know, make that masculinity so fragile, because being straight is like the thinnest line ever, you know what I'm saying, in regards to it. So I do think that that's one of those things that goes back to what you're saying about accountability and really being honest about who we are, what we've been through, and then redefining what manhood is to us.
We have to have you back on the show because there is so many things that you just said that I want to have like more in-depth conversation on. Right. One of which is I would love to just talk about race play more in depth, talking about the KKK porno thing. And the second thing is talking about homoerotic shit between men, because I just have to say the real reality is that I know that if me and V were bumping pussies with other bitches, totally objectively, when we were in middle school and shit, I know that men have those experiences. They just refuse to fucking talk about it. So I would love to have like a more in-depth conversation about that. But what I would like to do is move into, for the final piece of this, like talking about you shooting with trans women, because I feel like that's a part of this in many ways, because whether it's people in the industry or not, there's this whole stigma and shame around shooting with trans women because people do not refuse to validate their womanhood. And I know that you shoot with trans women, and I don't even know that I have any specific questions, but I would just love to like talk about that, and also what it would look like, because I don't want to say like to get other men to shoot with trans women, but it's like there's something, I don't know. I need more niggas to be shooting with trans women because trans women be bad as fuck, and that's the shit that I want to watch. So it's like,
yes, that's what I'm trying to watch.
I think it really just has to do with what people are and are not comfortable with. I think it's been a very interesting experience for me, because when I did my first scene with a trans woman, it was my first two scenes with trans women were shot very much how man, woman, man threesomes are shot in the industry. Like, you know, there wasn't really that much interaction between us. And even from there, I had certain companies that were saying they wanted to work with me and all this other shit, be like, we can't shoot with you because you shot a scene with a trans woman. And it was so weird because this one company does that, but like they shoot double vaginal. So I'm like, y'all rub dicks together. Like this, but that's what I'm saying. This thin line of what people consider straight or how they just define themselves and their sexuality is so fragile, because it's like you're making this weird ass exception for yourself, but then trying to judge me for being open and honest about who I am and how I express myself sexually. You know, so I think that there is a lot of people trying to live up to an idea that they themselves probably don't adhere to in their everyday life, but what they shoot on screen is something else. You know, they were like, our fans don't get down with that shit or whatever.
They do.
Follow me already, and one of my highest selling scenes, you know. So, and then just I started sex work at the age of 18, and I started off by doing cuckolding. I started off by doing BDSM and live sex shows. So I used to get booked by everybody. I was a survival sex worker when I first started in the game. So it was like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You paid me to be here. I'm gonna put on a show. And the first time I ever was booked by a trans woman, when I first met her, she was just beautiful to me, you know, and was an awesome client. Like, she was just like, I just want you to dance. I want you to jerk off. And then after you're done, you're going. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the perfect client, you know? And it was like, so, but like, once I was like fully in the porn industry, people would be like, oh, nah, if you do that, then you can't shoot with these people. But then I also realized y'all the same motherfuckers who tell me, you know, as a Black person, if I don't want to do some bullshit coonery shit, then I can't work with y'all anyway. So why do I have to listen to you about anything? I'm going to work with whoever the fuck I want, however I want, because what my fans want to see is me. Right. And they see me exploring what I'm into and pleasing people, because that's what I am, is a fucking pleaser. And that's what turns me on. Right. And, you know, after that, more people were like, yo, that's dope. And people who were not into it, that's fine. Because if you're into me, then you got to take me for who I am. And if you're not, go find somebody else. I don't take that shit personal.
Right. Yes.
And trans women are beautiful. Trans men are beautiful. I think that porn itself doesn't really represent sexuality well for something that makes money off of sex, because there are people who are asexual. There are people who are intersectional. There are people who are born, you know, in ways that would not fall into the spectrum of man or woman, and they should be represented as well. You know, there's so many people who are not represented in porn that when you look at mainstream porn bores the fuck out of me.
It's so boring.
So I know the people making it, and I know most of them are bored as fuck making it too. So I could look at them and be like, oh yeah. I know. You're
like mainstream, I'll go on a porn website and it's like, how is it supposed to turn me on? Like nothing, like even just talking, like just like in like with between like cishet men and like cishet women, like how is it supposed to turn a woman on? It's literally just like sucking dick, getting jackhammered from the back, and then sucking dick again, and then he nuts, and that's the end of that. And it's like,
that's why when you see like memes about porn, they're like on page 732 trying to find the right video. It's like, because it's hard to find the right video. It's hard.
Yeah.
Most porn, I feel like, is made by men who maybe have sex with women, but don't like women too much.
That's really what it is.
Don't respect women, don't love women, don't care about women's pleasure. It's just kind of like, this is a masturbation scene.
And also, it's interesting you say that because, like, somebody had asked me, I've only done like one, I guess, like it wasn't even mainstream, but like one with the director and everything, right? And even that, I did feel like it was cool, but I did feel like it really was not for me. It was for men and pleasure. It wasn't for me.
Right.
And I remember like this one company hit me up, and I don't want to say who, but I'm pretty sure y'all will know after I describe. But they were like, they like put you on like in the van, they pick you up, then the dude like has sex with you, then they like kick you out and like supposedly like leave you stranded. And I was like, why would I want to do that? And why would any like, I don't know, that's such a weird way to view sex and like view sex with women that you like, it's just like disposable. All right, I'm done nutting now. Like, bitch, I don't care what happens to you. Right. It's just like, no, that's not, I don't know. Like, that's just a weird ass way to view sex with women in general. It's just.
I've been on sets before, like for major companies, and they were definitely telling me like, that's too much pussy eating. And those are words I never want to hear in my life. Like that literally, like that's such a turnoff. Like also, you know, there are certain strokes or certain positions that are going to feel really, really good for you, but might not look good on camera, right? It shouldn't be the job of the people who are having sex to make it like
aesthetically pleasing.
The camera is supposed to find the right angle.
Right.
And so that's why like with what we do at Royal Fetish Films, it's about the whole vibe. Like if there are some great penetration shots, we will find a way to get them. But if you're also going to see, you know, someone's facial reaction.
Right.
Looking eyes at one another, somebody gripping the sheets, someone biting a whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like hands touching bodies and people actually connecting and making something beautiful. Like you might not always be making love, but that shit beautiful, you know what I'm saying? And when you remove pleasure from sex, what the fuck is the point? What are we doing here? You know? That's why so many people who grow up with look at how all of us were introduced to sex through porn at such a young age. And if you don't see pleasure, especially if you're a woman or a woman presenting person, and you don't see yourself being pleased and you see yourself getting kicked out of a fucking van, that'll lead you to being like, I don't want shit to do with men.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because, you know, we're talking about an industry that we're all in, right? And that is very largely informed by patriarchy and misogyny and rape culture. Yep. And I know for me and other women, we also engage this industry that way. Meaning, like, it's funny because King, you're probably the only person within the group of us who really makes the most like queer, consensual, pleasure-centered content, I'd say. Do you agree? Because I have never seen your content, so I'm just assuming, right? But like, I know for me, as much as I'm like sex educator and pleasure and this and that, I'm literally just banging my pussy out like, oh, daddy. I'm not even making the kind of content that is a reflection of the sex that I want to be having. So it's like, I just also want to name for like transparency and whatever, that there's, you know, and part of that, right, is that I don't know how much bread I'd make from making the porn I want. And then I can like challenge that too, right? But it's like, I just want to name that, like, even with that said, like, I be doing that shit. And I very badly want to not do that. I'm just not sure how to make that transition in a way that allows me to continue to make bread. But I know that for one,
your fans love you, they support you, and they want to see, and you got to think for every you there's thousands, if not millions, of other women who feel exactly like you, who have no options to get off. Because out of all three of you have said, I'm trying to find something else. When I'm on page 750 before I can even start playing with myself. You know what I'm saying? It is there. It's just that porn, think of the society we live in where men don't even want to hear women's opinions in regards to anything really. But then you get even more specific and you're talking about sex, where the sex that we're learning is just man shows up, gets his dick sucked, fucks real hard, busts a nut, and he leaves or throws someone out of a van, right? So there are women who have never been marketed to. There are women whose voices in regards to porn have never been heard, and this is performers included. You know what I'm saying? And it's up to us really to make the porn that the world deserves. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk, because most people, when I talk to people when we do our lectures and our talks and things like that, people like, I've had men who don't like that shit either. I remember we were talking at a porn and parenting talk at Exotica, New Jersey. And there was this brother, he was probably like 6'5", 6'6", like big ass dude. And he was like, I want to be a sub. Like, I'm not into, just because I'm a tall, big black man, everybody wants me to fucking dominate them and yell at them and tell them they ain't shit or whatever. Like, I want to be a sub. I want to experience letting go and someone else telling me what to do. You know what I'm saying? And they can't find that content for themselves. So it's like, it's up to us to make that type of content, because I know I watch all y'all do whatever y'all want to do. Like, watching.
You know what? I'm committed, and I have been thinking about this for a while, but I'm gonna start trying to be for real, seriously, because it doesn't even align with my brand, right? So like I really am gonna try to be more committed to like making the content that pleases me truly and reflects what I would like to see in porn. And I think part of that for me is just also it's just like decolonizing my whole everything, right? And I'm committed to that in so many other ways. So I need to be committed to that in the content that I make. The last thing that I want to ask everybody before we finish here is, and maybe not King, because you're already doing this in practice, but Lex and V, what if you were going to make content that truly like reflected your pleasure, you being the center, or perhaps somebody else if that's not what it is, right? But like content that really speaks to who you are, pleasure, autonomy, consent, whatever, what would it be?
I do want to answer that question. So
Okay.
go first.
Okay, so for me, if it was solo content, it would be no penetration. I don't know, like, because like when I masturbate by myself and I'm like, I'm horny, I want to get off, I don't penetrate myself at all. I don't use dildos. I only use like toys that focus on the clit. So I would only do that. And it's funny because when I first started doing content, that's all I was doing at first. I was just doing that because I'm like, that's the only thing I want to do. And I stopped because I got so many complaints and people were like, we don't want to see this shit. We want to see dildos. We want to see men in here, like all types of stuff. So I stopped. Like now I'm like, kind of am moving away from penetration. Like I haven't even done that in like a month. I have not done any type of like penetrative type of porn. I've only been like masturbating and like shaking my ass and calling it a day. But for a while I felt like bad because like they were complaining and I was doing the porn that I liked, but they didn't like that. But if it was up to me, if it was with like men and women, it definitely wouldn't be like any type, it would be very like sensual, like even like romantic, I guess you would say. Like that's the type of sex that I like to have. I don't like having like, I don't like that one night stand type of vibe where it's just rough, you fuck and we call it a day. Like I like kissing, licking, touching, rubbing, like all of that type of stuff. So that's the type of stuff I would do if it was up to me.
Yeah, I love that.
So, you know, I'm fairly new to being a content creator. And so in my content, when I do make content, it is about me. I do enjoy, I literally I started to shoot content when I'm horny. Like that's the only time I'm really shooting content is when I really want to get off so that I have a genuine orgasm. And, you know, I don't have to like work really hard to put on the content, like, because that's the hardest part for me is like getting myself in the mood and setting up the camera and da-da-da-da. So like I try to you know, feel sexy already and be in the mood, and so that my content, I think, is genuine.
Yeah.
So I do think that that's something that I do, and I don't have anybody else involved. So it is really just me doing solo play. My girlfriend gets involved sometimes, you know, which is great for me too, and it's actually like really great for our sex life, and it's been amazing. But as far as what I want to see, that more of that, like I want to see more like genuine normal sex, like normal I partners having sex. Like it's not, oh, this stranger, because it always seems to be like this stranger like I never met that I want to, you know, have sex with or whatever the case, and you know, these like raging horny feelings throw you on the, you know what I mean, like. And normal ass sex isn't like that. Like normal ass sex is when you have sex with your partner, you lay in bed, you wake up in the morning, you ain't brush your teeth, you know what I'm saying, you don't have shadow on, lashes. Right. So, you know, it's not like that. Like I like to see just natural, normal, regular sex. That turns me on.
Yeah, I think for me, the other day, I was looking for inspiration for what I wanted to shoot, and I came across someone who did an entire video of her dry humping a pillow with underwear on. And that like took me aback so much, because I was like, who's buying this, or who's what? But motherfuckers was watching it. And it was also just some like genuinely like, I would do that. Like I would dead ass do that. And like that would be some fire ass shit for me personally, individually, off camera type shit, or even with a partner. So I think, I don't know that I know what it looks like for me in my content, but I know for sure it means not faking orgasms. I know for sure it means limiting penetration, because I have literally barely any interest in that. I think it means not being as concerned about angles, because a part of, I think, my content creation is like, I need to look so this and that just gets in the way of so much. So being less concerned about that, which kind of I feel like speaks to Lex, what you're talking about, of just like normalcy, because when you're with your partner, you hanging here and this is there and blah, 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 and whatever. But when you shoot content, you're more aware of that. So definitely that. And yeah, I think honestly, less things that are just like dick in the vagina, or even dick in my asshole. Like I do like dick in my asshole, but like in a different way. That's not just like banging my shit out. Like that's not really what it would be. And definitely if it was with a partner, I have been wanting to for so long, and I tried to get Nas to shoot it with me, but like he was like not feeling it, but he wanted to do it on camera. So I was like, well, nigga, what the fuck is, like, what is it then? But I wanted to just literally do a scene with him where he's like sitting behind me, and his legs are like around me, and he reaches forward and just like plays with my pussy until I come, because he and I do that off camera, and it's like I like that. Like it's no dick in the pussy, it's no dick in the ass, it's no sucking dick. It's literally just like me relaxing and him playing with exclusively my clit. And like that, it would be content that I want to see, and that's some shit I want to shoot.
Because like I just feel like I'm so sorry, but I just feel like a lot of times when we look at porn, it's like I said, it's not stuff that we actually do in the bedroom for the most part, and so I don't feel the connection to it. It's like I'm more so like thinking like, damn, how the fuck she was upside down with the ass, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I personally don't do that in the bedroom, so I can't figure out how she's having a bomb ass good ass orgasm. And I feel like I would catch a cramp in my toes. Like I can't.
And even like referencing Nas, like he's a nigga who does like flips into the pussy and shit, but fucking in real life on camera, it's missionary and like just looking at each other's eyes. Like that's what the fuck, that's it. So you're exactly right, you know, and that's what makes it intimate when you potentially watch that kind of content, is that you actually do have a reference for it. You did that with your partner, or you know what I mean? Like a scene with him playing with my pussy and like him like talking to me in my ear, or him like kind of biting on my neck, or me looking back up, that's what we really would do. So like watching that, I'd be like, damn, that's so fun.
Yeah.
That also just reminds you of your own past sexual experiences. Right. I'm watching scenes that are not realistic. I can't imagine anything. Like, when I'm watching something that is realistic, I'm like, damn, that one time I was fucking like this. Yeah, so it's like you would think back of actual times while you're watching it.
Right.
I find places with all of it, you know, like I do like some fantastical shit where it's just like showing creativity, and I find that positions are a form of creativity because there are so many different ways to please and find different parts inside of your partner and things like that. But I think for me, and I've been working on doing this more, like I shot this scene with Amira Styles where, you know, we're just playing chess. The whole beginning of the scene is me and her, and that's an actual chess game. Like I had to find somebody who also played chess to make that. And you know, it did bring out conversation that you don't normally have in porn. You know, so like we're actually playing this game, being competitive with one another because we both wanted to win, you know what I'm saying? And also getting to know each other at the same time. And as like a polyamorous person, you know, like I'm a hoe, but I'm also polyamorous. So I do believe that there's lots of love out there to be had, you know what I'm saying? And I enjoy exploring the aspects of getting to know somebody and how that leads to more passion, because you're like, damn, I didn't know you was into that, or I didn't, you know, and like actually having that happen. And that part people could relate to, even if you're like afterwards y'all do some wild upside down acrobatic, or y'all do something that is super relatable, you know, either one. But the part that like that scene, so many people were like, yo, that's my favorite shit, because we didn't really know each other, but we built a real connection leading up, and the foreplay was all that sapio shit. And I feel that that's an aspect that is not explored at all in our industry, because people don't even think, but your biggest sex organ is your brain.
Right.
Regardless of what gender orientation or anything, the most important is that your brain is in it. And when your brain is in it, it makes everything else that much more intense and passionate. And like, that's the content I want to keep creating. So I'm just waiting for this COVID shit to be fucking biggest cock block in history.
I know. We love you so much, King. You are amazing. And this is your second time on the show.
Yeah, like a while ago. Well, actually, no. I came down to Miami one time.
Oh, yeah. 3.
Third time.
3-peat. Okay. Can you please like just tell us all of the wonderful things that you have going on and the ways that people can support you?
Yeah, for sure. I actually just dropped a new single. It's called Hustle Matrimony. So everybody out there that's a hustler, regardless of what you feel, my hustle is hoe shit. So it's definitely like some hoe anthem shit where it's just like talking about getting your money, staying sexy as fuck, and just the industry that we maneuver through. You can find that shit on all music platforms. Check out Royal Fetish Radio with me and Jasmine. Get that King Noir dildo. It's bodily safe, environmentally safe, and feels amazing. And you can find me at something on Instagram, because they shut one of them down. So it's like I'm shadow banned as fuck. So if you do find me, that's what's up. Noir on Twitter at King Noir, KINGNOIRE on OnlyFans, KingNoirXXX.com, or just Google me and find out all the shit you need to know. I need all my scammer niggas, bring that cash out.